She looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're being paranoid. He's just my work husband." Her tone was laced with that mix of condescension and dismissal that makes you feel small before you even have a chance to defend yourself. I forced a smile, swallowing the bitter taste in my mouth. "You're right," I said quietly. "I should trust you more." And right then, I decided I would trust. But not her. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and keep watching as we go further. I would trust cold, hard proof. I would trust someone whose job was to uncover lies. Chloe had no idea that she'd just signed herself up for a lesson in what real work looked like when a thick envelope of photographs found its way into her precious work husband's real wife's hands. I'm 38 years old, self-made from the ground up. I own my home outright, run a successful small business, and have always taken pride in my ability to read people. When I met Chloe, 32, 3 years ago, I thought I'd finally found someone who fit seamlessly into my life. She was magnetic, sharp, witty, ambitious in a way that drew people in. A year and a half ago, she moved in with me, and life felt comfortable, stable. We had routines, shared dreams, and I genuinely thought we were building something worth keeping. But 6 months ago, the cracks began to show. It started small, with a name I barely noticed at first: Liam. He was a senior colleague of hers, and in the beginning, his mentions were harmless. Liam thought my presentation was brilliant. Liam and I really saved the quarterly numbers. Everyone has work friends, I told myself. But the mentions multiplied and the tone changed. Her phone, once left lying on the coffee table, was now an extension of her hand, screen tilted away from me. I'd catch glimpses of his name lighting up her phone at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday, her lips curling into a private smile before she tapped back a quick reply. Then came the late nights at the office. What used to be a once-a-month occurrence became twice a week. She'd come home long after dark, smelling faintly of wine, buzzing with energy, telling me how she and Liam had put out so many fires together. It was the kind of excitement she used to reserve for us. Now she was spending it all before she even walked through the front door. The breaking point for me came on her birthday. I'd managed to get tickets to one of her favorite artists, bought months in advance as a surprise. At 5 p.m., just hours before the concert, she called, voice soft and apologetic, saying a crisis had come up at work and she'd be with Liam all night working on a proposal. But in the background, I didn't hear the sterile hum of an office. I heard the rush of traffic, the chatter of pedestrians. When I asked, she got defensive, snapping that she was in an Uber from a meeting. I sat in that concert hall alone that night, staring at the empty seat beside me, realizing that something between us had already died. The final crack came weeks later at a friend's barbecue. She got a text, glanced at her phone, and burst into laughter, the kind of laugh that warmed her whole face. When a friend's wife asked what was so funny, Chloe waved it off with a smug smile. "Just a work thing. You wouldn't get it." The way she said it stung like a slap. That night, I told her I felt shut out. I mentioned the late nights, the constant texting, the inside jokes that I wasn't a part of. She sighed, looked at me with pity, and said, "Mark, you're being paranoid. Every woman has a work husband." I told her I was her real partner, the man she was supposed to be building a life with. She rolled her eyes and muttered something about my insecurity, urging me to just trust her. That was the exact moment something inside me froze solid. Arguing would only make me the bad guy in her story. So I smiled, told her she was right, and promised I'd be more trusting. She relaxed instantly, kissed me goodnight, and drifted off to sleep, thinking she'd won. I lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, silently plotting my next move. The next morning, while she was in the shower, I began searching for private investigators. By lunchtime, I was speaking to Sarah, the head of a reputable agency. I told her everything. I didn't want to blow up my relationship over paranoia. I wanted the truth. If I was wrong, I'd eat my pride and apologize. If I was right, I wanted undeniable evidence. I gave her Chloe's details, Liam's name, and the patterns of her late nights. Sarah said they'd begin immediately. 2 weeks later, Sarah's first report arrived. Chloe's behavior had only escalated. More late nights, more giggles at her phone, more breathless stories about her and Liam killing it at work. Sarah's photos told another story entirely. Tuesday night, Chloe and Liam at an upscale bistro, sitting side by side, her hand resting comfortably on his thigh. Thursday night, a cocktail lounge, his arm wrapped snugly around her waist, her head tilted against his shoulder, and finally, a lingering kiss outside before they left together. Liam, Sarah discovered, was married with 2 kids. My girlfriend wasn't just cheating. She was playing the role of someone else's affair partner. Enjoying the video? Give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. Still, I wasn't satisfied. Chloe could spin those as isolated mistakes. I wanted something that would strip away every excuse. Over the next 3 weeks, I played the doting, trusting boyfriend while Sarah dug deeper. Then, the final package arrived. Inside were high-resolution photos of Chloe and Liam checking into a hotel, holding hands down the hallway, and through an open curtain, tangled together in a way that left no doubt. The report also included details on Liam's wife, Jennifer, a PTA mom active in her community, social media full of family photos and captions about her rock of a husband. That night, I drove to a store miles from home and bought a plain envelope, stamps, and printer paper. I selected 6 damning photos, not the most explicit, but enough to destroy any illusion, and wrote a single note. Jennifer, you don't know me, but you deserve to know what your husband does during his late nights. These were taken Thursday. I mailed it from a county far away. When I got home, I began packing Chloe's belongings neatly into boxes. 2 days later, my phone lit up with frantic calls and texts from her. "What did you do?" I ignored them. That night, she walked in pale and blotchy from crying. She demanded to know why I'd done it. I told her simply that I'd found the truth. She whispered, "You've ruined my life." I told her she'd done that herself. She had until the next evening to leave. Her father picked her up the following day. The fallout was swift. Jennifer kicked Liam out, froze their accounts, and filed for divorce. His employer fired him after she reported his conduct. Chloe quit her job under a cloud of whispers, moved back in with her parents, and watched her carefully built image collapse. She lost her home, her career, her lover, and her dignity. I changed the locks, rearranged the furniture, and sat in the quiet of my home. I hadn't been searching for revenge. I only wanted the truth to breathe in daylight. But Chloe and Liam had built their own pyre, lie by a lie. All I did was hand them the match. And sitting there, watching from a distance as the flames consumed everything they'd clung to, I felt the most satisfying silence I've ever known. Honestly, this story hits hard because it's not just about cheating. It's about gaslighting, manipulation, and the slow erosion of trust. The protagonist didn't lash out blindly. He collected the truth, acted with precision, and let the facts speak for themselves. It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't shouting or screaming. It's quietly removing yourself and letting the truth do the damage. And while some might call it petty, I'd call it closure with a dash of poetic justice. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more. Also, drop your thoughts in the comments.